Hi, this is the regular monthly meeting of the Dighton Economic Development Committee. This meeting is being recorded for broadcast on the Dighton YouTube channel and Dighton Cable TV. If you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just for the people watching, we do have one member, Raphael Dighton, who's joined via Zoom. So I gave you a copy of the agenda. So went to old business. I just wanted to mention that we did have the update with the Board of Selectmen and asked them to change our name. Warren and I went to that and presented an overview of what we're doing. Not too many questions. And they did grant the name change. So we're now officially the Economic Development Committee. It's a little bit more intuitive than what we used to be. Under new business, this is Chris's first meeting since being appointed by the Board of Selectmen. So thank you for stepping in, joining. And the next action item is discuss review act on committee marketing efforts after the name change. There are a few things we were holding off on so we got the name straightened away. So some of them were like these little trifles that we've been doing, which these right now are down at town hall, by the planning office, by the town clerk. I was going to sit some in the foyer. I was also hoping to find places around town that might allow us to put these out, like banks, other places where they have a lot of traffic. I know from where I bank that, people come in and just say, hey, do you know anything that's for sale in town? Or, who should I contact? And they're asking their banker, who should they deal with in town? So I thought this might be good there. But I didn't know if there were other suggestions people might have about where we could get these in front of people and display them. We also have a second trifold that we put together, which was kind of an abbreviated business guide. So you want to start a business in Dighton, here's who you need to talk to, here's what you need to know, that kind of thing. And that one's also down at the planning board and at the town clerk as well. So, but I mean, I don't mind running around places asking them to put this out, but other than the banks, we have an insurance company in town, town hall. It doesn't even have to be in Dighton. I mean, it could be on Somerset, wherever. But if people had ideas about where we might be able to get these out and about, and I did drop a bunch off at the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce too.
Okay.
So you can just email me if you have some thoughts about where we can distribute them. I was also planning to now do an email blast of businesses in town that we have contact information for, or at least email information for. Just kind of reminding them of the services we offer, like the online business directory, the business spotlight that we do on cable and YouTube, inviting them here. We've stood up a calendar, which I'll talk about. It was, we initially said we were going to do it on Facebook, but I found that the calendar feature on Facebook, everything looks like you're owning the meeting. So I can't really easily list somebody else's meeting and make it clear that it's not our meeting that we're posting, it's someone else's meeting. So, but I kind of backed down to posting it on the town website on our page, and then just advertising, if you want to know about events in town, go to www.dightonbusiness.com and it'll take you right there.
Does the town have a calendar?
They do, but it's for town events. And I was thinking more about things like North Country Auctions has something going on, Erosion's got something, 1712 has a band. You go to farmers markets, and your market may not even be in Dighton, but you're a Dighton business. So there's no reason we can't be listing it out there and say, come see us in the Cape or Randolph. I know that
Okay,
some places go up to Randolph or Swansea or wherever you happen to be and that kind of thing. So, and so just in the email blast, kind of reminding people of all the things that, that we offer. You thinking that over, Chris?
Well, I was just trying to think of an alternative, but I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is I have been putting things out on recently since the name change on Facebook. I think I put out something about the name change and what we offer. And then last week, I put out something about the fact that we're in front of the planning board because we're recommending a bylaw change to make it a little bit easier to run a home-based business in town. Just make it to relax it a little bit. So inviting people to come down if they want to input on that. So I don't know how much response to the specific message we might get. We do have like about 120 people that follow us on Facebook, but I just figured keeping the name out there, keeping that we're working, that we're doing things, and just so maybe every other week at least put at least one post out there. And just, the tagline is always find us at www.dightonbusiness.com, and that way they can always come back and see the directory, our agenda, calendar.
You can include a calendar in the website.
Yeah, I just did it as a very simple, just like I knocked up like dates and the business name and where they're located and what's going on kind of thing. I don't have a lot out there right now because those places I mentioned, I haven't had a chance to go talk to. And we didn't want to just like, even if they're publicly advertising this kind of event, we were a little hesitant about automatically sticking it up on our page too. I mean, it is public information at that point, but I'd rather have them opt in, say like, hey, we offer this. Do you mind if we put it out there? Maybe you can throw us on your email list so we know about what's going on instead of finding out secondhand. And so I was going to try to stop by like North Country auctions and Aru shows and see what, if they could like start doing that for us.
If somebody wants you to put something on the calendar, how do they go about doing that?
They have to email, and so our email is out there and it just says, please email ddic@dightonbusiness.gov.
I'm gonna recommend you have tell me the date, location, give them some guidance maybe.
About what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
Date, location, what it's called.
Right. The other thing is, we've been talking for a couple of years now about trying to do a short video of like a promotional video for the town, but focused on the commercial side. Not trying to get people to move here, sort of thing. But and so we started with using some funds a couple of years ago to do drone videography and get some stock footage of the town, like over the Tongue River, Shaw's Boatyard, places around town, that sort of thing. So we've got that in our back pocket, but the cost for doing it, it's probably going to be about $1,500 to have somebody help us with content, which is the big part. Like, how do you turn it into a good marketing message? As far as the actual editing, that's probably something we could find somebody to help with or do ourselves even. But I did ask around, and I think the lowest we would be around $1,500, and that would be getting help from schools and that sort of thing. That might have a marketing department that would be interested if they can find an intern. That being said, the only way to do it would be by encumbering our leftover funds from this year, which will probably be about $750, and matching it with an equal amount next year. To do that, though, to encumber funds, we actually have to have a purchase order in hand. It's just not a future plan to do something. It's, okay, it's June, we haven't spent our money. But we have an actual purchase order with the vendor who's agreed to do it. It's just not a deliverable until next year. So that kid lets us to encumber the money over.
Dighton Rehoboth High School has a CTE marketing division.
I didn't know
That might be worth looking into,
Okay,
getting hold of the school and see if some of those marketing stores can do that.
okay, yeah, I didn't know that, Dighton High did that.
I didn't know that either. I can find out who did the one for Bristol Aggie.
They had one done recently and,
Yeah, maybe like a year ago.
okay. I did reach out to like some of the colleges, like Stonehill, Dartmouth, those places, and trying to look for an intern, so.
I'm quite certain the school will be able to figure out something.
What was that?
I'm thinking the school should be able to help figure out
Okay.
something for you.
The teacher there?
I don't know the individual,
Okay, I'll
but
just-
you can just call the office.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Um, I mean, just under general, trying to get the word out. I don't know if anybody has other suggestions or comments or.
No?
So, I mean, one of the things that we've actually kind of set up from the beginning as being a measure of whether we were being successful, I think. And it started with because we were working with the Chamber of Commerce doing what was their first networking event up at Bristol Aggie. That was a couple of years ago, and then they did a second one. So the measure was how engaged are people in our businesses in town with us? And using that as a measure, we're doing really poorly.
Yes.
We did poorly at the event, we've been done poorly since. And I don't know whether that's actually should be, I mean, it's great that that would happen. I don't know whether that's necessarily a measure of our success, or it's more like a tool, because it would be a tool because it's an avenue for feedback so that we know that we're helping to provide what services they need, helping the businesses in town, which is our real goal. It's a tool because if you want to attract businesses, generally where businesses go is where other businesses want to follow. So just to create people talking and a buzz, and even if it's just word of mouth, if, people are talking about business in Dighton and maybe how the town is trying to be more accommodating and encouraging, that just in and of itself, them talking about it.
Where is this group in the pecking order as far as somebody comes in? Do they see us or they go see planning board first, or?
They go see planning board first. In fact, we recommend that because they're gonna have all kinds of questions about zoning and conservation.
Yeah.
Maybe have to talk to the building commissioner. And, but, they have our flyer. Even if they go to our website, it gives them basic information and then says, we need to start with the planning office. But I mean, we've done things for people in town, like they wanted to know what was the water supply, like how big was the pipe someplace, so I could track that down for them. Another guy was trying to sell his business, but the town had an easement. And he said one of his buyers backed out because they didn't like it. So I went down and the town said, oh my God, that he's gonna spend like 30. We don't even need it anymore. We'd gladly take it off for him. He just has to write us a letter and ask us to do it, and we have no problem with that. So, and there's often the little things that people just, they're
I
obstacles.
was just wondering if we need to be higher on that list, the contact list. Should we be the primary and then say, hey, you want to see so-and-so in this office and be like the information person?
We probably have to be more available. I mean, other than, certainly more than a once a month meeting. I do have a business card that I give out that has economic development on it and it has my cell phone number. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna be as available as walking into the planning office.
Yeah. I'm just throwing out.
No, I mean, that's good.
Ideas.
It's good. I mean, but you know, we've just been trying to work so hard to try to get local businesses to engage with us. And I'm just wondering if that's really should be our focus. Or is it a byproduct of what our focus should be, or do we just need to look at this a little bit differently? I know.
I'm thinking that if they were more engaged with us, then we'd be able to help them. But I don't even know if anybody knows about us. I didn't know about us till you called me.
Right. So,
But, and then there's so many businesses in town I don't even know about.
I mean, that's also true. And not a lot of them are retail. I mean, a lot of them are kind of business to business places, and many of them are home based, and so they may not actually have need of additional services per se. But I mean, you just went through this yourself. I mean, you started a new business that is operating at a house, right?
Yeah.
You probably
It's kind of a, I had known about I had known about this function beforehand.
yeah.
So it wasn't like I was something new to me. And then we had that, well, you had it, I wasn't there, well, I was there, but there was that thing on the field, the town hall,
That's right.
a couple of years ago, whatever that was. So it's not like I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I had kind of had half an idea. I don't know, I just kind of figured out what I needed to do.
That's what most people do. I mean, if they're stuck, then maybe they would reach out, but the first stop isn't to reach out probably, so.
Well, there's maybe I was thinking if we were higher on the call list, say, all right, planning board's meetings this night, you wanna go there and just be like the information station and go from there, and maybe that'll change things. But once they're established, I don't know.
Maintenance mode, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just concerned that we don't actually select for policy. We don't actually have to bandwidth to be as responsive as. No, I only work 3 days a week, but I work. You're at 3 full-time jobs. You work. It's not like we always have somebody who's gonna be either quick to respond, or I would be glad to take those calls, and that's why my business card actually has my personal cell phone on it.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of getting them the information they need in a timely way, the planning board is really where they need to start. It may not work to our benefit to have them do that, but I think for their benefit, that's really the best place for them to start. So, yeah. This is kind of just like general discussions we can have about like,
yeah.
how do we want to craft what we do? Do we want to change what we're trying to do? Is that really the best thing to do? Is we need to try to reach out and engage people? We just haven't figured out the best way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like,
answers.
yeah, I'm thinking that if we had more people engaged, then it's almost like word would get out, like, oh, Dighton's a nice town to have a business.
Right.
Because it's more talked about.
Exactly.
If it's
I mean,
more engagement.
Exactly. Yeah. Just something to keep in my mind. The next item was discuss review updates on the use of town parcels for agricultural leasing. So the town owns a lot of property in town, and the idea was that some of it might actually be good for farming or animal raising. And the town actually does lease at least one parcel right now. They lease it to a Brucho's. So you were telling me that this has been on the agenda for the Agriculture Commission to see if they want to pick this up and run with it. They just haven't had an opportunity to look into it yet.
Right, yeah, so since I'm the agricultural person here, I was gonna take it on. And we were gonna look at property this winter, however, every time it was gonna be a day that we were gonna do it, it was like not nice weather. And so then now I'm on the Agricultural Commission, and I thought I would talk to them first to see if they would like to take this on. And then the AgCom does have a work plan. It is on their list. We just haven't talked about it yet.
Okay.
So I will bring it to them and then bring it back here.
The next item on the agenda is discuss what you act on the first business networking event. So this goes back to trying to engage people. We had talked about, we know that the chamber tried to do it in a nice big way, renting out space at Aggie, inviting Berkeley and Dighton businesses. This would be very small scale. So just be for Dighton. I think we would start really small at just like coffee and donuts and just advertise it and open it up. Probably with people's schedules, meaning the members' schedules, our members. It would probably be like on a Saturday morning or something. You have it here. I don't know how much response we get. But if we just put it out there and offer to have people show up, see if there are any town officials that might be willing to come.
I was thinking
Yeah.
having town officials here, that would be a great
That they can
place
talk
to
to.
have them, ask some questions to
Right.
vote, like the planning board.
The chamber has coffees and conversations, and they have conversations after hours, and so they have multiple events, and they're scheduled at different functions, so it could be something similar to that.
Yeah, I think theirs is, it's a chamber event, but wherever they're holding it, it's the business sponsors it, right? The business puts up, gets the food.
They say, yeah, they're gonna host a coffee meeting, and it gets advertised that way.
Yeah, and they did one at one connection, the chamber did a couple of years ago. They had a coffee morning meetup. If we could get a business in town that would like to do that and invite people in, that'd be great. Otherwise, we could do it ourselves and just maybe make use of this space. Something small. We talked about, because we weren't sure whether we'd actually have the funds to do things like that ourselves, that maybe we could actually get sponsors, bank or other places. It'd be not very expensive to do something really small. If we wanted to do something big, like a breakfast or something, that would be kind of big, and then we might need more sponsors. But we just want to start really small and see what the response level is, go from there.
It would be nice to have it at different businesses eventually.
Yeah, it's up to them to see if they would like to do that. But like I said, one connection did it. I'm sure probably a few other places might have enough space to do something like that. It's really like the chambers. These are going to get maybe 20 people.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, 20, 25 people. We're not going to do that, but kind of get space for that.
So now what?
Well, if we'd like to do that, we might want to think about setting a date. I was thinking maybe the April, May timeframe. Try to find a Saturday, not that it would be booked, but just getting permission from that town to use this space. I can figure out how much it would cost us, and we can decide, do we want to try to cover that cost ourselves? Do we want to ask for a sponsor for like $50 or $100 to offset the cost? Given that it's March, we can't really do it for April because we probably need another meeting to decide what we want to do. But maybe May would be a good time frame, and then I can figure out what it would be involved for us, and we can decide at the next meeting to do that. We can just advertise it on Facebook and email. I think you were the one too who said it'd be nice to have not just a generic, like, hey, come down, have some coffee, meet people, but an actual speaker of some sort. So we think of what would be
That would be a good
a
draw.
good speaker that would draw people, businesses. Might be a local business owner, it might be a town official. I'm sure Chris Silva from the chamber would probably be willing to do that. I thought that would be a good draw. She's,
Yeah, it's always a possibility. Maybe we won't want to delay it until after the vote on the bylaw change, and then we could promote it
that's
ourselves.
true.
Good idea.
And say, hey, listen, this is new, you know,
Yeah,
make it a Q&A thing.
that would push out to do like the July time, right? Because the meetings in June, so.
Because, you know, everybody that has a business will be affected by the change, whether it's immediate or in the future.
True.
It would be a way of getting everybody up to speed on what the changes are.
Okay. Oh, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I'll still try to write down like what the cost would be if you want to do it here and that sort of thing, but we can, for timing, gives us more time to plan for it as well, so.
Mhm.
And also think.
I'm trying to push it off a little bit.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's a good point. And if we want to get somebody to speak, it gives us time to try to do that too.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I can't go on a Saturday.
If we can't go and say, okay,
It's okay, you don't need me.
that's right. Update on the finance committee. So we put in a budget request for $900 for next year. That's down 10% from the town was asking every committee to take a cut. So we have to drop it from our normal $1,000 budget to 900 as a request. The finance committee meeting was last week. So I went there and presented. They didn't have too many questions. I don't know what the recommendation's going to be, but that's a more substantial cut than most of the other committees. Most of the other committees were doing 2.5%. So.
You did a good job, thank you.
There was a bit of a mix-up with the home-based business bylaw change in respect that any bylaw change has to have a public meeting. So I had it on the planning board last Wednesday and presented it, except that the planning office manager didn't realize I was thinking it was going to be a public meeting. And the reason she didn't do it as such was because she's trying to schedule all the public meetings to occur on the same night. Because there's a couple other bylaw changes that the planning board is initiating. And that way it kind of saves money because she has to advertise those every time you do a public meeting. And she could do it all on the same night. She could do one advertisement, not cheaper. So I did present, it was just informational to do it one more time, I guess, for as part of a public meeting. But I did put out a Facebook post saying if you're interested, stop in. Nobody did attend, but I actually included a link and I posted on our Facebook page or our town website page rather, the actual text of what's the strike through, what's the addition, so people can read it and understand it. So people, may have done that even if they didn't show up at the meeting. For the announcements, we do have 3 new businesses in town since we met last time. It's just information from the town clerk for people pulling business certificates. Clear Journey Coaching. For the owner in town, I recognize the name, already has a couple graphics design businesses that they do. So I started another one. Elite Jeep and Automotive. They purchased used and salvaged vehicles and then they dismantle them and resell the parts that's salvageable. And Hunter Hill Cartage LLC, it's a trucking company. So welcome to all those new businesses. we had come up with no cards that would mail out to all new businesses, so with the name change, we did have those printed up. Pretty mail those off to those three. So we'll see if we can respond to get from any, and I think my business card in there for any of them too.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most up to date, what the text is. No correspondence, don't have anyone for public input. I did get the minute meetings done, but it was at the last minute, and since I knew Paul I thought he was gonna be joining by Zoom. I knew he would be busy, so I probably wouldn't get a chance to actually read it, so I'll just save those and we can do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Our next meeting date, sticking with the fourth Monday of the month, would be Monday, April 28th at 6 p.m. Okay. So before we adjourn, this was kind of just light and more informational than anything else. I didn't know if anybody had anything they'd like to bring up, any suggestions, topics. I know if you would like to start with some farmers market events.
I can.
Is there a distribution, like an email that you could add me to, or do you advertise them for stuff as normally that way, or
I do a newsletter.
you do a newsletter? Is it just an email newsletter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you could add me on there, that'd be great. Okay. And I'll start with some of the other farms in town and see, because I know they do farmers markets as well, and stop by North Country Auctions and 1712. I've just generally put it out there on Facebook. I don't know who else, that something like that has events that this might apply to, but somebody has a grand opening, and they have a special sale, whatever they think qualifies is fine. So
Sounds good.
any questions, Chris? Feel like I
Can't think of anyone.
We gave you very little meat to chew on.
Let's give him a job.
Not right away.
Okay.
I don't know, I have to think about it. I mean, it's how to motivate input, and I'm not really sure, just walking in, so I kind of gotta see what the lay of the land is here and go from there.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you. So if there are no other agenda items, if somebody would like to make a motion to adjourn,
I'll make that motion.
do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Actually, we have to, because Raphael is on Zoom, we're required to do this by roll call. So Dan Higgins is an aye.
Laura Smith, aye.
Chris Reddy's and I.
Rafa Delphin, aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.